Good evening, everybody. I am making salsa and I'm using the Mrs. Wages packet, and I think mine is like the medium. So I have cored and peeled my tomatoes, and they have been in the crock pot for a couple hours, so I'm beginning to ladle out the juice. Now, this is strictly something that you can decide whether you want to do or not. You can leave the juice in. I take mine out because I like a thicker salsa, and I actually keep the juice. You can can it. I give it to my neighbor. He loves to drink tomato juice, so it works out pretty good. So I am cooking these on low all night long. So I put them in at 10 o'clock, and in the morning I will finish ladling off all the juice, and then I will lightly use my immersion blender because I don't want it to be really pureed. I still want some of the chunks in it, and we'll go from there. And I actually leave a little bit of juice in there. I don't take every bit of it out, but I do take quite a bit out just to thicken it up. Okay, it's morning time and the sauce is cooked all night, and it's time for my immersion blender. And I've taken most of the juice out that I don't want, and I'm just going to lightly go over this because I don't want to puree all of the salsa. I do want it kind of chunky. So it looks really good, and I'm satisfied with the texture and the consistency of it. So now I'm just adding a half a cup of white distilled vinegar, 5% acidity. Okay, so the sauce is ready, and I use the Mrs. Wages. Now this is the medium salsa. They make a mild and a hot. I kind of wanted mild, but I couldn't find it, so we're gonna go with medium. And this recipe actually calls for 18 medium tomatoes, so somewhere around that. I actually didn't pour the whole bag in mine, so I just kind of poured half of it in and then a little bit more according to the taste that I like. I really didn't want it as hot. My husband doesn't like really hot stuff, so I got it to where I wanted it, and I do have a little bit left in this bag, so if I make some more, I can use this. So I'm putting on a pot of water for simmering. I'm gonna put my lids in there. I use Tatler lids, and they recommend putting them in simmering water, and the gaskets as well, before you put them on the jars. So I just leave them in there until I get ready to put the lids on. These jars I will probably either heat in the oven or also in the simmering water with the lids. Either way is fine. I've done it both ways, just whatever's easier at the time. So I also got tomato juice from these tomatoes. I ladled a lot of the juice out just for a thicker sauce. You can leave it in there and cook it down, but I find it easier to ladle the juice out, and my neighbor loves it, so I strain the seeds out and I give it to him. Alright, I'm fixing to ladle in my salsa. My jar is now heated up, and I've got my funnel, and I'm going to leave an inch headspace. And that's right at the bottom of my funnel, so it's pretty easy to gauge. There's also marks on the jar if you're familiar with the marks. Okay, I'm gonna get the bubbles out. I use a chopstick or a skewer, and I just go around the edge of the jar and just get the air out of it. And I just use a paper towel to wipe the rim of the jar, make sure there's no tomato juice on it or salsa or anything like that. That way it'll seal good. Okay, I'm just going to finish putting all the salsa in my jars, and then I'm going to put them in a water bath. So this salsa has to water bath for 40 minutes, and then I let it cool for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I take it out. And I retighten my lids because I'm using Tatler lids. And then I let it cool for 12 hours or so, and then I take the rings off and store it, and it's good to go. So this is what the Mrs. Wages looks like. Really pretty salsa, and here is the final product. Looks amazing and tastes amazing.